Welcome to today's Tech Talk from Index Engines. Today we're talking about backup and how Index Engines can help EMC clients really leverage their backup environment and get the most out of it and control the cost associated with backup. There's three separate areas that we can work with EMC clients, and the first area is specifically around the backup environment. So in the backup environment, the number one area where we can work is a complex area. We talk about vendor lock, where you're using an existing backup software that you may be using for many years, and migrating from it is difficult because you've got all these legacy tapes, you've got this legacy infrastructure. Making a change is complex because you may need to get access and retrieval for some of that data, so you want to keep an instance up and running to get access to it. And using the legacy backup tapes as an archive has been complex because as they age, you're realizing that backup tapes are really not an archive. So you may want to make some changes to your backup environment. So the number one area that we can help is the ability to ingest the backup catalog, allowing you to migrate to Networker, a great EMC platform. So to eliminate the bottleneck of change and the complexity of change, ingesting the legacy backup environment, something like TSM or NetBackup, allows that to be managed by the Index Engine's Catalyst product. So when you need to get access to data, you can search the catalog, find the specific backup set, do a deep scan of that backup set for fully indexing. The Index Engine's Catalyst product can index backup images and backup content without the original backup software. That's really the key to success here. So we'll be able to scan those tapes, find the relevant content, and extract emails and files from those tapes, whether it's an Exchange or nodes or just loose files on tape, extract it back to disk in order to present it for the legal or the business user that requires it. So the number one use case in backup is the ability to retire legacy backup environments or retire backup software vendors and migrate to EMC Networker in a more cost-effective manner. The second area is around offline tape storage. So as you're making, performing backup and the tapes are rotating out of disaster recovery or DR, they're going offsite storage like to Iron Mountain or Recall. And those tapes pile up. There's a lot of content in those tapes, snapshot of all your user data. So there's a lot of hidden risk and liability. It's very limited access, especially as the tapes age. And it's really a wasted monthly cost. Month after month, you're paying these offsite storage vendors to store unknown content that's highly duplicative, highly, has no real value. A very small percentage of it does have value. So the fact that the Index Engine's Catalyst product can efficiently scan tapes to be able to cherry pick individual files and content from these tapes, and what we've seen on these offsite tapes is that far less than 5% of what's on there needs to be really retrieved for long-term preservation. So the second area that we're working with EMC clients on is the remediation of this legacy tape content and recouping this offsite tape storage cost. So we have a program that allows and a methodology that allows these tapes to be processed, the relevant data extracted, which is a small set of what's on there, and the tapes to be shredded and remediated, recouping that offsite storage cost. The third area is around archiving. So backup is really the protection and the management of all the important data in the business. Backup understands what's new, what's changed, and so on every night of the business's life. Archiving is doing the same process. They're kind of trolling through the networks trying to find out what needs to be moved to the archive. And an archive is typically a copy of backup. What we see is the ability to change the focus of archives, from really bloated, repositories of data that may or may not be useful, that are imprecise retention periods, difficult to support e-discovery and compliance and regulatory requirements. And to leverage the backup process. So being able to have the Index Engine's Catalyst product just look at backup, look at all the backups that occur every night, and as the backups occur onto something like data domain, for example, onto disk, you can see the new backups, apply the policy saying these user mailboxes, this specific content, these keyword content is important and should be archived, and it can be extracted out of backup into the archive. And then that eliminates the need to make tapes off the back end of something like data domain. So the third area is the ability to go tapeless and stop preserving tapes or putting tapes in offsite storage for archiving and long-term retention, and to really cherry pick and really selectively preserve based on retention and requirements what is needed in an archive like Source One or other archives that may exist. So the three areas really that we're working with EMC on are around the ability to migrate backup to a new backup vendor like Networker, to go tapeless off the back end of something like Data Domain, and to recoup offsite tape storage costs to remediate that expense. So contact us at indexengines.com. Let's talk further about how we can help you and leverage your EMC backup environment more effectively and manage the data that's in that environment. Thanks for your time today.